Hi, Mercedes. How are you doing? Welcome to the Naiz Podcast.
Hi, Cynthia. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you for letting us knowing you a bit better. You and Ecodicta, of course. Well, guys, for you who doesn't know her, maybe there's somebody out there that still doesn't know Mercedes. She's the co-founder of Ecodicta. We're gonna go all across all the organization, what they do, why they do it. But first of all, I used to do some stalking before the podcast. I like to know who's behind the company, who's behind the charge, who's the person. And I discovered something really funny. Well, funny. I mean, that I didn't know and I didn't expect it. That you actually studied like political science.
Yes.
How you got into fashion from political science?
Yes. Yeah, this is unexpected. Yeah, most people don't see a social science major jumping into fashion. But I used to work, I did political science and then international development, international relations. And I did work in a lot of like NGOs where we got a bunch of reports and reports regarding climate change and all that. So yeah, at some point in my life, I got to reports regarding the footprint of the fashion industry. Because
Wow.
at some point in life, governments and NGO do have to get involved with fashion because it's harming the environment the way that we're overproducing fashion items and how it's the
Definitely.
second most polluted in the world. So that's how I got interested in fashion, like through knowing the impact that it has in the environment. And obviously, also, a woman. I was born in a family of six sisters. Well, there's five sisters and there's six with me. So you
Wow.
might imagine how like crazy we were about like sharing closets and like experiencing life through fashion and like dresses and whatnot. So a part of me was like a fashion lover in a personal level, not
Okay.
in a professional way, but then at some point they got crossed. I decided like moving to Spain. I used to live in US and Mexico for school and work, and then at some point I decided to move to Spain, and this is where fashion came into place, where I decided like to start from scratch, start my own project, and it is what it is now, Ecodicta.
Oh, that's great. And now we're gonna talk about Ecodicta itself, but how because I really like the thing that it came from something that you learned and that in your previous life, let's say. I always like to say
Mhm.
that in my previous life I was something else.
Yeah.
Um, and that make you conscious about the issues of like the overproduction and all the things that we are hearing every day at the end in the fashion industry.
Mhm.
Why did you decided to start like this way with Ecodicta and like sharing and giving like other lives to garments?
Yes. So yeah, Ecodicta, for those who don't know our project, it's the monthly rental service. Its major business line is that. So we created a community where the consumers can rent a pack of either 5 or 8 items a month or every 2 months, enjoy them and return them at the end of the rental period. The major idea of this project was to offer an alternative to fast fashion where you would enjoy items without having to accumulate in your closet and without having to constantly buy new items, with this helping reduce overproduction. So why Ecodicta? Why introducing a rental service? Because we felt like the fast fashion industry, like the items that are the least expensive, are the ones that are overproduced the most, and those are the ones that are produced with less quality, that last only a few uses,
Definitely.
and that we felt that those items were the ones that needed to be replaced with a more conscious alternative. So we decided to like come up with a shared wardrobe of casual items mostly that would replace those fast fashion items, that those colorful items that were in your closet, that will complement your capsule wardrobe with other items. So we felt that being able to offer a shared use alternative to those items was like the one that was going to have more impact, in terms of the environment. And also, it was more innovative. There was no such a thing in Spain when we started. Most of the rental services that we see in fashion are mostly centered on luxury items or like occasional wear or more expensive wear.
Yeah, like the red carpet moment in which you have like a big occasion, you don't want to spend five, six, seven, 800 euro in a garment, and
Hmm.
well, you rent it and you can see like all these like, oh, premiere. None of the
Exactly.
well, some of the
Yeah,
actresses own the product, but
yeah. Those occasions were like the most where you would see a rental more clearly, not those obvious moments where you don't want to spend a lot of money. But then the offer that we were presenting, it was an alternative that was much more conscious, more like long term centered, where like most of your items would be rented instead of like having to own clothing items as you do with the shared economy in terms of like cars and houses and whatnot. So we went into this revolutionary way of thinking about your clothes, that you didn't have to own everything.
yeah, and actually, I find it super interesting because I live in a very small apartment here in Barcelona, and I have to
Mhm.
share my closet with my boyfriend. And my boyfriend has a
Mhm.
lot of clothes, I have to say. So
Yes,
I don't have space. And apart from that, I like quality products. I don't buy cheap products because I don't like them. I prefer to invest on quality. And actually, I have garments that lasted like for 10 years, 20 years, and I
Mhm.
just change them when they break. But at the end, you're kind of tired of using always the same product. So I think
Exactly.
it's also an alternative for people like me to complement, right?
Exactly. So this is works perfectly. I always use the winter example, where you have like big coats that occupy a bunch of space in your closet. It's like you can just rent them for the winter, and during the summer you don't have to like have creative ways of like saving or like putting away those coats, because you don't have to have them in your closet the whole year, just during your rental period.
Definitely. And I have a curiosity. How do you guys work exactly? You get the products from the brands or from people like second hand, that people that use the garment and then can send it to you to put it in like in these other many new lives?
Yeah, so it's not a peer-to-peer service. So what we do is we get the clothes from the brands, and we make a very special selection. We try to get brands from Spain that are sustainable or that have overproduction themselves, because they're emerging brands and they're still trying to figure out what models work best or not. So we sometimes get samples from them, and this is a way for them to like get to broader audiences and to test their products. So yeah, you once you enter Ecodicta, you will see a selection of brands that we previously selected for you. So it's not like you're gonna get a used item from another individual.
Okay, that's interesting. And these brands, do you always have like, for example, the whole size set, or maybe you just have like the sample set size, just to say?
Sometimes we just have the sample set, because we like I said, our main goal here is saving those items that have to be used and reused. So sometimes we get a lot of sample sizes, but luckily most of our clients, or like most of the populations, falls into these medium sizes or small sizes. So there's mostly a match between our consumers and the sizes that we have available. However, we do have some items that we have studied and that we see that are like best renters, and we have those items in multiple sizes.
That's interesting. Actually, that comes a bit like my next question will be, which is more or less the average age of Ecodicta's community?
The average age is 35, I would say. well, maybe 40, because most we have like users from 27 to 55. So
Okay.
yeah, our users are pretty yeah, middle age, like 35 to 40. And this
Okay,
is
that's
very
interesting.
surprising because we were expecting like younger people to like jump into this type of services because they say to be sustainable and whatnot, but it's not the case.
Yeah, actually, that's really cool that you pointed out, because I would have thought the same. Like younger
Mhm,
people trying to optimize their budgets and so on, and also because it's sad, and I
mhm,
put like all the
mhm,
sad, ironically I can, that Gen Z and all these new generations are the most sustainable, but on the other hand are the main customers for companies like Shane or really fast fashion, aggressive fast fashion, well, I would say. So how do you see that? I mean, it's for me, it's kind of mind blowing the fact that they're like really worried about sustainability and the environment, but they just buy like extra fast fashion.
Yes, I see it in my family. I'm like, please don't buy. I have like younger nieces, and they're like crazy about all these platforms. But I feel that they're just trying to fit in. They're building their personality. They're too young. They feel that they don't have the budget, and they see all this. They're influenced by all this social media and TikTok and all this advertising in terms of like this type of consumption. And honestly, like all these platforms are very great at marketing, like the way they are, all the offerings they have and the way they are promoting their brands is just perfect to catch the eye of a younger, unconscious or like immature consumer. So in that sense, I feel like there's a lot of work to do in terms of like uh, supporting and talking about the importance of consuming more consciously and emerging brands and giving a chance to other alternatives that are cheap. Like Ecodicta has very affordable prices compared to having to buy a sustainable product or a quality item product. Ecodicta is a great alternative for you to try those products at a very low cost for a month. And then if you really love the brand and support all the storytelling and you identify it with their values, then you can just save up a little and try to
And buy the
like
garment.
buy the garment in the future because it will last forever, you know. So for us, this is a very way to a very nice way to test without like any without any you know, I was going to say compromiso. I cannot think of the word in English.
Compromise without
Oh my
compromising.
god, compromise, yeah, without having to like compromise in the longer term. um
I think that on the side of the customer,
mhm,
I would say that it's also a great chance to try new brands, because
mhm,
sometimes, I mean, I love fashion. What can I say? I
mhm,
always try to discover new brands, but sometimes I'm not really sure if, even if I like maybe the style, even if I maybe identify myself with the brand's proposal in terms of everything, like
mhm,
identity,
mhm,
maybe I don't dare, to go and try a garment that maybe it costs a bit more, or that I don't know, just because I don't know if the fabrics are gonna be as much as expect, and this way of not committing to
mhm.
purchase the final purchase and having this chance to try it, it's I think it also helps to that, to brands to come into the market, and to users to explore this and be aware of if they're gonna like it or not.
Exactly. We see a lot of our consumers. So we have a lot of brands, and like consumers get a chance to select their items every month. And we also offer a chance where if they're unsure what to choose, or if are not familiar with the brands or whatnot, we can choose their items for them. We have like a
Nice.
little
Personal
survey where
shopper.
they give us their sizes and their preferences and whatnot, their body type and whatnot. So we style special pieces for them too. And when that happens, when we start something in surprise mode, they're super, super thankful that we give them a chance to try a new fabric, to try a new style, because it's like a whole new world for them. They're very used to like certain brands and certain fabrics, and then realize that once they use them 2 or 3 times, they fall in love with them. It's there's much more than standard brands.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, actually, I loved that part of the surprise me. So as soon as we finish, I'm gonna try the surprise me one.
Yeah, yeah. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised.
I'll be
Uh,
surprised.
uh,
I like it.
yeah, and it's not like you're gonna get something super out of your style and super crazy and colorful. It's just that you're gonna get something super personalized, that like super. We think about the color of your eyes, your hair, your body type, and your lifestyle. So you might get a little a black tank top, but it will be a little tank top that the fabric will be great, the cut will be great, and it will fit super cool on you.
That's cool. Actually, I have some events coming, so I think that it's gonna be a perfect
Yeah,
trial, to just like also like show it out and say, okay, guys, what do you think? That's the surprise me part.
yeah. It's cool. It's very. It's. I think this is one of our greatest pros or advantages of trying with Ecodicta, because we have that plus service that it also helps you be more conscious consumer, because you will discover your style and yourself and the things that fits your body type better. Therefore, you can like take those pieces as an example to buy in the future and be
That's cool.
more and be more like sure and happy with your own wardrobe, so
That's
that way
cool.
you don't have to like accumulate things that you don't like it, that
And that you
you
probably
realize
don't need.
were exactly that you once you bought them you realize that they didn't fit as well as you thought, and that the color doesn't look good on you and whatnot.
Yeah, what happens to
Mhm,
me a
mhm,
lot, well, a
mhm,
lot every in number of times, not every now and then, because I'm
mhm.
not a
You don't
buyer
buy
of
it as
every
much.
month.
Yeah.
But what happens to me a lot is that I buy something that I like, and then I got home and it doesn't fit with anything else I have in my wardrobe. Like,
Exactly.
what an amazing t-shirt! I have no trousers
How
for it.
do I exactly? How do I style this? Yeah, this is one thing that you have a month to experience multiple styles and to realize that, oh, I really use this. This really fits in my wardrobe. Or and if it doesn't, it's okay. You can get a chance to return it and use something else.
And how the guys return the product? Like, they have to send it to you. You have pickup points.
So we have pickup points and we have like home delivery services. So they do most of the time they get if they're recurrent users, they get to return new items in the same I guess in this at the same time as they receive the new item. So they do
Okay,
an exchange with the delivery
that's
service.
cool.
They have like a new delivery or return tag that they can find in their new box, so they get this return tag, they paste it in the old box, and they return it at the same time, and all
That's
the price is
perfect.
all included in their service. This is what
That's perfect.
works best, but for those who are not at home regularly, we have like pickup points in like the regular correos mm, offices. They can do
Yeah.
the same. They can exchange the items, like pick up the new one and return the old one.
Okay. And what is the average life of a product at Ecodicta? I mean, how do you measure it? In times of usage, in months of usage, or
We measure it in months because it's really hard to see how many times a user during the month, during the rental period, use the items. But we feel we have a guess that they use the items around 3 to 4 times every month. However, we do measure by months. We feel that if an item is rented over 24 months, for us, this is great. And the average happens to be 20 or
okay,
22 months,
okay, okay.
depending on the
And
item. Depending on the item, because there's like summer items that are like t-shirts or like more fabrics that are thinner and lighter, they last
Yeah.
a little less.
Or like,
However,
for example, lycras that can get adapted to different body types, and maybe they don't go back as fast as other kind of, well, or are not
exactly.
that adaptable, let's say.
Exactly, depending on the fabric. However, we do try to avoid those fabrics. It's very
Okay.
important. So we really do, for example, like silk and very delicate fabrics that we feel that with the use and with the washes are gonna get torn easier or gonna waste easier. We try to avoid them. So
Okay.
we only look for like fabrics that are long lasting and adaptable and everything. But yeah, there's like lighter and like summerish, for example, pieces that last a little less than winter pieces or than coats and
Yeah.
jackets that are very
Yeah, definitely.
durable. Hmm.
And that brings me a question that just came up to my mind. Like, for example, I'm a kind of a disaster, and I always have to read everything because I never know how to wash things or how to treat products that are maybe a
Hmm.
new fabric that I don't know. So, do you guys give like kind of like rules of use or tips to use the products if it's like a silk product or just a fabric that is not that, let's say, common in a wardrobe?
Yeah, so we recommend to read the tags. Also, we try to keep the the washing instructions tags always super visible in our clothing items. However, we do recommend to avoid washing when in doubt. So, if depending on the item, if you have to like use it multiple times and it's like a top or whatever, you do have to wash it. But for example, jackets and whatnot, we recommend avoid washing because it's more sustainable as well. So
Yeah.
we wash everything monthly in a more sustainable laundry that we have. So they ensure that our products that last longer, that they're taken care of, and without the use of toxic products. So in that, we prefer to be the only ones who wash the items. However, we do know that sometimes you have to wash them to use them better. So
Yeah.
when in doubt, always ask Ecodicta first. But if you read the labels and the clothing items, you should be okay. Most of our consumers are concerned about that, but then at the end they realize that nothing happens. It's
Yeah.
very it's very uncommon that you would destroy a piece.
Yeah, let's hope so.
It's very uncommon. It rarely happens, and when it happens, we do have a little fee that you have to pay to for us to recover that to replace
Oh,
that item. But it's very very minimal. We try to avoid overcharging because we don't want you to be unencouraged to use the service because of this.
great, great. And you
Mhm.
recently opened a pop-up store, right?
Yeah, so we had a pop-up store at a shopping center in Alcobendas, but it was like just for a month.
Okay.
It was opened from March through April, and it was very interesting because it was the first time that we had a chance to have a pop-up that lasted longer than a weekend, and we got a chance to like include a bunch of services. So we partnered with Menostratch, Polave, other companies that help us. Actually, we're always partnered with them. They help us like close the loop, close the
Okay.
circle in terms of like what we do with our clothing items once they're rented, like as many times as possible, and when they're not able to be worn or sold in the secondhand market. So we actually partnered with them in the store so they could have their services available for others to exchange, to repair, or recycle their own clothing items in our store. So it was a pop up where you could rent, buy secondhand, recycle, or like personalized, customize your own items, or send your clothes, donate your items to recycle with Menos Trash. So it was very fun, and we had a chance to explain the impact of fashion to a lot of consumers that are not used to seeing this type of services in a shopping center.
Yeah. Yeah, because actually shopping centers is like buy. You have like this
Exactly. Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
that's
Yeah, you had a chance to rent your items like shoes, the items that you get in a box, go and return them at the end of the month and whatnot. So it was very, very new for them. It was also a challenge to be able to communicate all these services and all these alternatives in a very short time. But we got a lot of learnings and whatnot, and we realized that the age group that is more willing to try the services continues to be 35 to 40 something. So very,
okay.
very interesting that we are like ecodictas for mature
Yeah, yeah, because
consumers.
also it might apply like to the selection of brands or or garments maybe, right? Because it's not
Hmm.
gonna be the same that the person. I mean, everyone can
Hmm.
wear anything, just
Yeah,
to
yeah,
start.
yeah.
But
That's
it's true
yeah.
that maybe there are some kind of items that are gonna go for younger or maybe
Mhm.
age people, and to middle maybe something
Yeah.
change.
Yeah.
You're
So
not
if
some
you see,
benefits.
true, true, true. Or actually, the selection that we have is very, it's very a reflection of our consumers. So since we started with like 4 items or 5 or 6 items in the in Ecodicta. It was like really it was an MVP that very like zero cost MVP, and we started building our wardrobe using data from our consumers. Like they had to like consumers that try the service and consumers that were interested in the service. So we gather a bunch of information in terms of age group, style preferences, color preferences, body types, and whatnot. And that's how we started like building the wardrobe. So it's really personalized. It's really a reflection of the type of values, styles, and age groups and sizes that we see in our community.
That's super interesting because like this is like really focused and you get to know a lot. Like I like the balance between fashion and data, like taking
Mm-hmm.
the data, real data of the market to really selection the garments that they're gonna like, and also
Mm-hmm.
it's another way more to avoid any overstock or any over asking for garments that are gonna be there, and maybe there's not gonna be like a like an end life
Mm-hmm.
home with somebody or a
Yeah.
recycling or
Yeah, because we face the risks of over consuming as well. Because if we have items that are not rented that nobody wants, that we're accumulating as well. So we have to be very careful with what we put in our system. And sometimes it's funny that you see like a white teacher in the system, but that's what consumers rent. That's what they want. Sometimes they use the service to differentiate, to add more color and more style to their wardrobes, but sometimes they use it to find a more quality brand to invest in the future and to build their own capsule timeless wardrobe. So there's a balance. There's a lot of neutral colors and a lot of basics, but they're like quality basics that if once you try them, you were like, okay, yes, cool. I had it for a month. I'm going to buy it for later.
that's super cool.
So there's a
Would you
balance.
repeat? Would you repeat the going down, let's say, to the street to go to retail,
Like to start a Ecodicta
like having
again.
another shop?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, definitely with a lot of learnings and like avoiding a
Do's
lot of
and don'ts. I
mistakes.
imagine yourself with a list of do's and don'ts for the future pop-up store.
Exactly, exactly.
No, but I
Definitely.
think that it's a great idea to have like 1 month to absorb as much as you can and see if it makes sense, how it makes sense, and how to build in case you really want to go for like a shop, let's say, or a place where customers maybe could be just like a delivery pickup place with a small stock and the orders can be done online. I mean, there's a lot of, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just like
there's a lot of forms.
brainstorming here.
We do feel that we have to have some physical presence somewhere. So hopefully in the future we can, we're still brainstorming about how and when, but pop-ups are a great way of testing and like gathering ideas and of what works and what doesn't work, and how you have to stock and how you have to present it, and like what messages you have to use and whatnot. So it was very enrichful, a very enrichful experience.
That's super interesting. Yeah, because I can imagine you guys like in, for example, here in Barcelona, in the middle of Gracia, one of those like trendy streets, maybe, or I don't know. I can imagine like a lot of things right now.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So
We feel like
I'm sorry. Go.
depending, yeah, 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 no, depending on where you want to be, like there's a bunch of like branding uh alternatives that you have to use. If you have to like present yourself as a luxury um brand, or like a super conscious, or a very affordable everyday
Yes.
everyday secondhand items, more clothes, or like more casual brands. So we have like a lot of things that we have in mind when it comes to positioning. But yeah, the I guess the most aspirational, the most yeah, the one that you would see that fashion lovers would want is the little high street store with a lot of luxury items, very colorful and whatnot. So we all dream about having a chance to borrow one of those pieces.
Yeah, definitely. I myself had the chance to like here at Night Street we have some we try on the clothes, right, to
Mm,
make sure testing so on, and I had
mm,
to participate to take part in some of the testings, and when I went to try on like Moschino clothes, I was
mm,
so happy because I really like the brand, but it's a
mm,
bit out of my budget,
mm.
and some of the items were like really out of my budget, and being able to be there and try and see the fabric and see how it fits, it's like wow, it's an experience for fashion lovers. It's all an experience.
Yes, this is like a dream come true.
Definitely. The problem is that you feel in love with products and you go home sad.
See,
Like
but that's where renting
yeah,
comes into play.
that's something that the Ecodicta solves. You guys are gonna go home like with a smile and the product.
The product only for a little bit, but you'll get a chance to enjoy it.
I like it.
Yeah.
So, we're coming to the end because I would be like speaking to you all day long, but of course, we also have lots of things to do and we can do other kind of episodes, so we can
Yeah.
stay in touch.
Yeah.
So, we're gonna go to the five tricky questions that we ask everybody. We don't say anybody that we're gonna do. Don't worry, nothing complicated.
Okay, okay,
But
okay.
we like it to keep it as supernatural as it is. So, the first one would be which is your favorite moment in the history of fashion? It can be like in the whole history of fashion or in your history with fashion.
On my history with fashion, I'm going to go super personal, okay? So
Oh,
in
cool.
my lifetime, in my experience of fashion, I guess my favorite moment was when I was a teenager. Yeah, like I said, I was going to take it to a personal level. Um, Being a teenager and having a chance to wear my older sister's items to go out and party without having to buy anything. I guess that was like the first memories I had when founding Ecodicta, that I could wear anything I wanted without having to buy it because I could always use it. I would always wear it with my older sisters, and it was like the 2000s, so fashion was super colorful, or a lot of like low rise and stuff. So I was glad at some point that I didn't buy those items because I was gonna hate them later on.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you know what? I don't have. I have smaller sisters. I couldn't inherit anything when I was younger. But after pandemics or just before pandemics, with some friends, we started to do this kind of market in which every season we gather like some stuff that we don't use anymore or that we just are tired because we use it so many times, and we put it together, we grab some beers and whatever, and we start trying on everything in the house of somebody, and then you go back with some bags with clothes, with new clothes that are not
Yeah.
new, but for you are new, and that was amazing, I have to say.
Yeah, yeah, like a exchange. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's so cool. We tried that in one of our events. Hopefully, we'll do that later because that's another a great alternative to like to use new things, borrowing from your friends. I mean, that is.
Yeah. And things that maybe you wouldn't be buying, but your friends, I remember one dress, like in particular, that one of my friends said, I brought it because it's so you. And it was like, I wouldn't have bought that ever in my life. I tried it on, and it's one of my
Favorites.
weekly dresses. It's like, oh, come on,
Yeah. Yeah, we need to do like a swap party in Ecodicta because it would be super, super
call me.
fun. Yeah,
Call me.
definitely.
And which is your favorite garment?
So there's an item in Ecodicta that it's my favorite item. It's a coat from the brand Second Female, and it's like an over puffy elbows, like I mean puffy shoulders, um, super. It's beige and it's like a cropped size. And I really loved it. I used it for a month, and everyone in Ecoica loves it as well. I feel that it's one of the favorite items. So it's like the little fashionable jacket, but comfortable and wearable, and I love it.
That's cool.
Jackets in
And
general, I love jackets.
yeah, I have these problems with shoes.
But yeah.
And which book would you recommend? Here at Nicefit, we are like reading animals, and we always like to ask this question to everybody to have like some new books to read.
Yeah, so in terms of like fashion, I would recommend this Spanish. It's just a brand, she's like very good in sustainable fashion. She's a content creator, Laura Opaso. She has two books. The first one I really recommend it for those who really want to dig into why sustainability is important and like tips of why how to make your wardrobe sustainable. And it's called Armario Sostenible.
Cool.
So really check it out for those who are into discovering sustainability in fashion. Mm.
Definitely sounds super
Mm.
interesting. And do you have a favorite quote?
I do, I do. It is from Vivian Westwood. It's the one that says, "Woman." Hold on, I'm thinking about it in Spanish. To give me a chance to like think about it in English. It's
Or say it in
no,
Spanish, and
no.
then we
Hold on. So I had a oh my god, I had a blackout. Hold on. Let me think about it. It's something about woman. The clothes don't make the don't clothes are going to make the change themselves. The women who wear them are something like that. Oh my god, I have a
Okay,
blackout moment. So,
no worries. We're gonna look for it, and we're
yeah,
gonna
just look
share
for
it.
it. Look, Vivian Wordsworth. It's about how clothing items don't change the world. The women who wear them do.
Cool. I love it. I definitely love it.
It's not. I
And
mean,
that's the least one, the last one. Who would you like to hear in the podcast? We always like to
oh,
ask other people to see who would like to hear or
oh, cool. Who would I love to hear in this podcast? Well, in the Spanish, oh, it can be from anywhere, right?
yeah.
Maybe the founders of Rent the Runway, which was the first uh, renting platform that we got to know of in the US since 2008 or so. And it's, changing the industry. I don't
Okay.
remember her first name, but yeah, founders of Rent the Runway. Either or,
Um,
there's two girls.
okay, we're gonna look for them. Guys, if you're hearing us, you can just contact us, right?
Yes,
Just
please. Because yeah, it's amazing what they've been doing with the fashion industry. in the
Great. I'll
US.
try to go. I'll try to get them. I'll definitely try to get them. Fingers
Yes,
crossed.
please do. I think her name is Jane something, that I don't want to.
LinkedIn is like my
LinkedIn. Yeah, I'll
kingdom.
Google it later, but
Yeah. Between Google and LinkedIn, we're gonna find them definitely. At
exactly,
least one of
exactly.
them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So thank you very much, Mercedes. It's been a pleasure. And I hope that we can just keep on sharing more information about you guys and more projects. So feel free to contact us anytime that you have something crazy to propose because we love it.
Oh, thank you so much for the time and the patience and my little blackout moments.
Oh, come on. No, it's been great. I loved it.
Yay! No, no, thank you. I had a lot of fun.
Thank you.
All right.